I'm David Tappin. I'm the chief judge at this event. The competitors have 20 minutes altogether to present their aircraft to us for judging. And during that time, we look at them from two aspects. The first aspect is the outline, the general shape of the model, to make sure that it corresponds with photographs and drawings of the full-size aircraft. So we're looking at the shape of the sweep back of the wings, the height of the rudder, the thickness of the wings, the position of the undercarriage, all of those sorts of things which are generally sort of considered to be outline. And we look at the 6 views: front, back, top, bottom, left and right. And that takes 10 minutes. There's a lot of work for the judges to do there. That's the first panel of 3 judges. It then goes to the second panel of 3 judges for another 10 minutes. And there, the judges are looking for colour, accuracy of colour, and markings, and generally the craftsmanship of the model, how beautifully it's been produced, and the sort of technical details. The more detail there is, which can be justified by the photographs, the higher the marks they'll receive. We previously just used 3 views: front, top and side. And because of the fact that many older aircraft, there are no photographs of the bottoms of them, in some ways the competitors felt that encouraged people to produce sort of 50s jets like Vampire and the F-86, which we've seen some of in this event. And they've suffered rather badly in this event because of the fact that we're now looking for bottom views to justify the model, and very frequently there are no photographs of this. So a model which may look to be absolutely perfect has not scored as well as perhaps it would have done, simply because the pilot can't justify what he shows on his model. There is no evidence for it. And any sensible competitor will first of all make sure he's got documentation which justifies the model and then build the model. It's no good building the model first and then hoping to find photographs on the internet afterwards. There may be less spectacle in it because we're not seeing so many of the older jets. That is what the pilots have decided they want.
Take off. Now.
The competitors have to fly 3 compulsory manoeuvres. Obviously, takeoff and landing is an important part of a flight, and those are compulsory manoeuvres, and we judge those for a nice straight run on the runway and a straight climb out for 5 seconds, during which time we see the gear retract. They then fly another compulsory manoeuvre, which is just straight flight. They do a trimming circuit, and then they come and fly for 10 seconds in front of us, a centred manoeuvre. The caller says start, flies for 5 seconds, gets to the middle, and for another 5 seconds and calls end, and we judge during that time whether the model is flying straight and level, whether it's climbing, diving, whether it's drifting, if there's any wobble in it. Those are all downgraded. Then they go into a sequence of 5 manoeuvres, which are chosen from a selection of manoeuvres available, of which there are 38 altogether, and the manoeuvres that they select are chosen from that group of manoeuvres. They can fly any of those they want to, and once they've flown those, and there we're judging them on the basis of the accuracy of the manoeuvres that we see in front of the judges, but also we're watching the whole flight, because right at the very end there's a category called realism, which carries a lot of marks, 20% of the marks, and there we're just looking for what we see of the whole flight as being realistic in the sense that that's what a full-size aircraft would look like. Having flown their 5 optional manoeuvres, then there's a final compulsory one, which is not just the landing, but the whole circuit and approach is judged. So they pass in front of us, fly a rectangular circuit, lose height during the approach, and then they land on the runway. And once again, we're looking for no gain of height during the circuit and a loss of height through the approach and landing, and then a nice straight run in the centre of the runway. All of the manoeuvres which the pilots choose all carry the same K-factor. The second manoeuvre in the flight after the takeoff, the straight flight, only has a K-factor of 5, and the circuit approach and landing has a higher K-factor, and the very highest K-factor is applied to the realism. It's very important that the judges maintain a standard. You'll see variations between one judge might judge a little higher than another judge, but as long as it always stays the same and it doesn't suddenly change, and the one who's been judging low starts to score high and the one who's been judging high starts to score low, because that would indicate some sort of bias, and we just don't see that at all. I have to check every score sheet immediately the flight has taken place, and I look for variations of that sort. And obviously if there are variations of that sort, that judge would not get invited to judge at another competition. So they're being judged just as much as the pilots are, really. there have been pilots who are less experienced, but that's really good to see them here, to have the courage to come to a competition of this sort, where they know they're going to meet the best pilots in the world and have a go. I think it's very important that. And very often the models they produce are beautiful, so that they're scoring very well in static. They may not score so well in flying, but it's all part of the competition. I think if somebody goes away having hardly flown at all, but having got a good static